I think it's important now to reflect on Jonny, person A before running the line, person B after having run the line, because that was a big project, biggest project to date for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And ultimately the one that has put you onto a springboard for bigger and better things now by really putting a stamp on a creative expression of putting one foot in front of the other.
There it is.
So talk us through it. Essentially, when did the idea come to you, and how did the process for it happening actually begin to unfold?
So to be fair, since I ran my first ultra last year, ran 100K. Ironically, I thought that's when ultra distances started. I probably could have run like a 70K, 80K. I thought they started at 100K.
I had this conversation with somebody the other day. They were like, it's kind of 50K and then 100K and then 100 miles.
Yeah.
Like there's no, even though every gap in between is equally an ultra.
Distance, yeah, technically. I didn't know 50K existed. I was like, well, that's too close to a marathon. Technically, that's just a marathon with a bit of change. That's a marathon and a warm up. So I was like, okay, let's run 100K. Ran 100K. Fucking love this. I was like, at that point, I started thinking about challenges I like to do. And as I started taking my running seriously and the content running seriously, I saw this thing on TikTok where people were walking the Victoria line in like 6 hours. And I was like, for one day, I was like, I'm just going to go for a run because I've never been to Walthamstow, one end.
Yeah.
I live nearest to Brixton.
Yeah.
I can just take the tune up, run down. It's an interesting way to see London. My curiosity. I was like, how can I start running all over London? I had a complete other idea, which was a case of like running through every borough. Like I had just, again, being curious. I know my parts of London, some other parts of London. There are a lot of parts of London I don't know. I thought, why don't I just start like running the odd tube line here and there and maybe making some content around it? It's good as a good way to see other parts of London that people don't often see. Ran it, filmed it, did really well video, and even like TFL commenting on it being like, I was like, which ones I run next? They're like, good luck with the Met line or good luck with the Central line, because they're both like double marathon distance.
Fucking all right, I'll show you TFL.
And I was like, you know what? I reckon there's something in this. And I in my head, I looked at how far the distance is of the London Underground, and the distance of track is what comes up when you Google it, like how much track's there. Obviously, when you run above ground, station to station, that's significantly further by about 200 kilometers. So in my head, I'd convinced myself on this. I was like,
it's been a disappointing afternoon on Google.
Yeah, I was like, it's about 300, whole total things like 380 kilometers. Yeah, all good there. Basically said to myself, I'm going to now do this. When should I do it? Okay, September, not too hot. We'll come back to this. September, not too hot, but the days are a bit longer there. Definitely not as hot as August, July. And then I got to work on Strava, routing station to station, 272 stations, 11 tube lines. I was like, I think Strava's broken here because it says it's like 572 kilometers. And I actually checked it all again. I was like, no, that's exactly the distance it is. And I was like, oh, well, I've already committed myself to doing this now. At that point, I was like, once I've said I'm going to do something, it comes down to that whole thing, you know, it's for me, confidence comes down to when you say to yourself, hey, I'm going to do this, and you don't do it. That's the number one way you can destroy your self-worth, self-value. If I've said I'm going to do something, whether it's out loud, publicly, or to myself, then I'm going to have to do it because I made a deal with myself, and you don't break those sort of promises.
Yep.
I was like, right, that's it. I'm in. As soon as I hit that, I spoke to my running coach. I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing. He's like, right, okay. Why? I was like, we're doing it. And I spoke to my strength coach. I was like, hey, we'll put this together now. You guys make a plan. This is what we're going to do. Here's how it's going to work. Spoke to my Lululemon, who I'm ambassador with. I was like, hey, you guys are going to support me in this one because I'm going to, this is what we're doing. And that's kind of how it came about. And again, it was juggling. I didn't know how to put these events together. All I knew is like, I know how to make my own content. I know how to make my own videos. I know how to sort of frame it in certain ways that I find interesting. And I thought, when I see people doing challenges, I have so many questions. Like, how far are you going that day? What are the challenges of that day? How are you feeling that day? And sometimes I see people doing challenges and I often find that they look like, yeah, I'm all right, getting on with it. I'm like, no, I kind of want to know a bit more. Like, what's going on? Like, where's your head at? Like, that's the thing for me is always like when people do fucking crazy things, like when I've seen you do some insane stuff, I'm like, what is going on between the ears? Like, what are you telling yourself that? And I found that so interesting. I was like, I'm going to find out for myself, like what's actually happening. And I'm going to share that with people. I'm going to share where my mind's at, where my mind's at. When I'm feeling fucked, how am I still able to put one foot in front of the other? Because it's a very interesting space to be in. Like, think about how few hours of our life we spend in that situation where we are well and truly cooked. And yet we're moving forward we're smiling to ourselves on the inside, we're saying something to ourselves, body's not having it, but we're still moving forward. Like, that's such a unique place to be in. And so many people will never experience that in life because it's a very hard place to get into. And it's a very scary place to get into because sometimes you can be afraid of going, well, what if my head's saying, okay, we'll just stop then, like give up, quit. And that's why I was like, I wonder if those thoughts will come in. It was again, curiosity. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I've never ran that distance in that short space of time before, day after day after day. And because the way the tube lines work, we did 11 lines, 11 days. It was day where it's like 70 or 80K and then down to 30K. So it was alternating between really long day, kind of longish day, really long day.
There was one really short day, wasn't there?
Waterloo City's 3K, yeah.
Which was just day before Big Boy.
Day before. Well, we actually wasn't day before. We did the Waterloo City, and then later that day at midnight, we started the big one.
Ah, yes, yeah.
So it was basically like, I got like a shakeout run, and then I got to chill at home, had a little nap, and then start at midnight, the 92K last day.
Yeah.
And so that was the case of it. So I'd have these days where my day was entirely full, and then I have a day where I'd have a bit of more recovery time, but I still have to get up and go run 30, 40K. And then the next day is like, oh, well, we're going to go run double marathon distance again. It's like, okay, cool. Like, and so it was just a case of, so every morning I'd wake up, I'd get out of bed, be like, oh, I can still walk. And then I'd go make some food. I'm like, all right, we're still here. Then get on the road, get to the start point, start moving. Okay, I can kind of run. And then the sheer amount of joy I'd have at going, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. Like, guess what? We're nothing so far has stopped us. And as you continue, you gain confidence, and from that confidence, you feel better. Like, you build, even though my body, even though I was sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night just because I was so cooked, and even though like I look like shit just from the sheer strain I was going through, and like I'm thinking like my stomach and bits and whatnot, I was feeling better about myself as it progressed through, because it was like day after day after day. It's like
it's evidence, isn't it?
That's evidence. Like, nothing, no matter what. At that point, it's like, because we had days where we have so many random challenges. We have arseholes getting in the way. We have people, all these issues. And towards the end of it, I was like, right, give us more. Give us something else. So we've had the hottest 5 days of the year. The first 5 days of the challenge were. And we got through that. It's like 36 degrees on some of these days, central London, which is just, London heat is just.
It's the worst. It's the worst, yeah.
You know, we had the worst day of air quality in London as well. Where it's like, do not run. It's like, I'm running 80K through the city today. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, fantastic.
It was, had some of the biggest arsehole car drivers who were just like, didn't care the fact that we were just trying to cross the road at certain points and just trying to run into us. We had just everything you can imagine, bikes crashing into me, whatever it was, stomach going, foot had a massive toe issue. All these things are happening. And because we overcame them towards the back later in the challenge, when the distances went up again, I was like, what's next? What is next? Give us something else. Like, that's with the mindset was, anytime something else went wrong, it's like, good. One of the days we took a wrong turn right at the end of the Met line. Met line's like 85, 86K, and we are like, it's a lot of climbing as well, because we started in the city and finished up in Amersham. We were like a couple K from the finish.
You went uphill for that one?
Yeah.
Why the fuck did you do that?
Because we wanted to.
Was that planned in beforehand?
Yeah, well, I chose.
Did you regret that decision on the day?
No.
Good man.
Absolutely not at all.
I would have definitely planned in downhill personally.
We chose every.
I'll be honest.
What I wanted to do was, I'd never wanted to say to myself afterwards, you could have maybe done this, could have this. So I looked at where the start point each day was, the finish point which day was, and I said, which way should we run it? Let's go the uphill route.
So you subconsciously took a wrong turn, didn't you? That's what happened.
Yeah, really.
That's what happened. Yeah.
On this last one, we took a wrong turn. Someone gave my navigator, who's my coach. Bear in mind, he's been on the bike like 15 hours this day, so he's knackered. And they kind of made a wrong call, went the wrong way, and we went like 800 meters up a hill the wrong way to a station, and it was down and around the thing. And I remember being told that, and we are like, it's dark now. We've been running since it was dark in the morning. It's now dark in the evening, and it's like, I got told that. I was like laughing. I was like, good. Like, who wants to run 83K this day? Let's run 84K. Come on. Like, you're in that place where at that point, nothing can stop you. And it's such an amazing feeling finishing those days being like, everything's been thrown at us today. Not only the distance, not only the uphill, not only things going wrong, not only whatever it is, like, and it just solidifies such a belief in yourself that I think maybe wasn't lacking beforehand, but whenever I'm looking at anything else now, any new venture, any new thing, and dealing with difficult people, like, you have a quiet confidence about it or increased level of confidence about it, so that you feel that you're able to deal with more situations in life.